The one where I fell for a married man at work. 26F, work in corporate HR, and this is something I never thought I'd admit out loud, let alone post online. But here I am. I developed a huge crush on someone at work, someone who, as I later found out, is 37M and married. And no, when it all started, I had no idea he was married. At the beginning, I didn't even know who he was. He was just a familiar face I'd see around the office, the kind you recognize but never actually interact with. One day, he messaged me on Teams asking about a project we are about to work on together and if he could swing by my desk. I was busy and had no clue who he was, his Teams profile had no photo, so I told him I'd reach out later. The next day, he tried to approach me in person. I didn't realize he was the same person from Teams, so I awkwardly ignored him and kept walking. Day 3, something clicked, I saw him walking by and I decided to ask him if he was the one who'd messaged me. Let's call him Sam, not his real name. He said yes. That was really the first proper interaction. After that, I once passed by his desk, not knowing he sat by that area, and he'd initiate small talk, mostly work-related. Since I'm in HR, he'd sometimes come by to ask the most random questions. He was one of those people who would always say hi if he saw you and start some light conversation. He was quiet, kind of introverted, but always polite. Something about that calm, composed nature started pulling me in. Slowly but surely, I found myself more drawn to him. I started dressing up more, always had makeup on, and suddenly had more reasons to walk past his desk or schedule in-person meetings with him. We'd joke a lot, I'd roast him, be sarcastic, and he'd take it all with a smile. Our dynamic just felt easy, natural. I shared random life updates with him. We started building this quiet, effortless connection. I remember the day I told him I was leaving the company. He genuinely looked sad. But still, nothing too personal had been shared between us. Just moments. Glances. Smiles. Inside jokes. And then one day, randomly, I asked him and another coworker if they were married. His response? Yes, not to each other but yes. I just stood there, speechless. My jaw actually dropped. And no, I'm not saying it was his fault, but people usually mention their spouse at least once in casual conversation, considering we have spoken so much. He never did. Not once. And from our interactions, I don't know how to explain it, but it never felt purely platonic. Other coworkers would even comment about our chemistry or how he had googly eyes for me. We'd always share these lingering glances, smile every time we walked past each other. You know when something feels more. This felt like more. After I found out he was married, I pulled back. I stopped walking over, stopped making the effort. But he randomly came around to talk about another project. I kept it strictly business. Around that time, another coworker expressed interest in me and gave me his number. I figured, why not? Sam's married, it's time to move on. But the more I talked to that new guy, the more I realized why I had liked Sam so much. He had all the traits I'd quietly hoped for in a guy. Calm demeanor, respectful, funny in his own awkward way, introverted but warm. He never took offense, never crossed boundaries, always made me feel safe and comfortable. The new guy had none of these traits. When my last days at the company came, I decided to just be present, soak in the goodbye, enjoy the moments, which means started talking to him again. I would even ask him how he met his wife and joking say I can't believe someone married him. Sam was at my farewell. TMI maybe, but having him there honestly made me feel so awkward. I was already emotional about leaving, and his presence just added to that weight. I started acting weird, like visibly nervous, fidgety, and probably gave off all kinds of ick without meaning to. I felt on the edge of tears the entire time, trying to hold it together. He even came over after the cake cutting and kept trying to talk despite being interrupted multiple times by others. Eventually, we had a small chat off to the side still within view of others. He started by saying how nice I looked that day. First time he gave me a compliment about my appearance, then he asked about my next steps. There was this strange silence toward the end, like we both wanted to say more but couldn't, felt like there was a wall in between us. I shook his hand instead of hugging him. Just didn't feel right to offer anything more. As he walked away and kinda looked back real quick and started walking away, it felt like the end of something that never quite began. Later that evening, I read what he wrote in the card. He wrote the longest message in the card, saying work wouldn't be the same without me as in it would be less interesting, that he loved my sense of humor, which I always teased him about was better than his, and there were more inside jokes, and wished me the best. That message meant more than I expected. I messaged him on Teams to thank him for a thoughtful message. He read it but never replied. Left it unseen. I used to think I had strong moral lines. That I would never, ever get emotionally involved with someone who's taken. Sam wasn't even someone people would describe as traditionally attractive or super charismatic. There was just something about him, this quiet pull, this energy that made me feel, something I can't even name. Looks mattered to me so much and I was always against such huge age gap, now none of that mattered. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if he ever saw me as more than a work friend, if he had feelings too, or if he just enjoyed the attention he was getting from me. I sometimes blame myself, sometimes wonder if he should have said something earlier about being married. But I never flirted. I tried hard to keep it platonic. Yet I still ended up falling, silently and hopelessly. Anyway, just needed to get that off my chest. Anytime I tried to talk to someone about it, they would say not to think too much about him and he is married and that is the truth. Would love to hear your thoughts. Edit. My plan was to express my feelings to him on the last day when I didn't know he was married, glad I found out before I embarrassed myself.